Hello and welcome to the Mastermind seminar series. Today's topic is how top agents are succeeding in today's market. And today's agenda, we're going to be talking about proven systems. And what I mean is actual systems used by actual agents and getting real results in today's market. We're going to share with you how to get more quality leads. We're going to show you how to get more repeat and referral business, how to have a, in essence, how to have a great business and a life, because we all know workaholic agents with a lot of money and no time. And we're going to give you a little bit more information about our upcoming Mastermind conference on October 5th. And the conference is going to be at the Nalda Country Club on Friday, October 5th in Toronto, Ontario. Beautiful setting. But I'm going to give you more information about the conference at the end of this recorded webinar video. Now, we're going to be here for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I strongly suggest that you eliminate all distractions. Turn off your phone, have a paper and pen beside you to take down important points, write down any questions you might have. If you don't have paper and pen beside you, pause the video, get that stuff, shut the door, turn off the phone, eliminate distraction. This is an important discussion and one that I know everybody's going to get value from. We're going to give you ideas right now over the next 15, 20 minutes that you can and are able to use in your business to get better results right away. So pay attention. Now, my name is Simon Giannini. If you don't know who I am, of course, a real estate broker, but I'm also host of the Real Estate Talk Show on CFRB and syndicated on many other stations as well. I've been featured on BNN. We have regular features in the National Post and other newspapers. I've written several books on the topic of real estate, various aspects. But most importantly, at the end of the day, I'm a realtor just like you. And I want to mention one thing, and that is that in 2 short years, we've been able to use the systems I'm going to share with you to get to the top 10 in the country within Royal LePage. Now, I tell you that not to impress you, but to impress upon you that the systems I'm going to share with you really, really work. But if you're willing to implement them the way they're designed, and if you're actually willing to do the work. And for a lot of people, that's a dirty word. So I hate to disappoint those of you that are looking for the magic pill, the secret that will fix everything without any effort. But this is the next best thing, rather. This is something that will fix everything with some effort, a little effort on a regular basis over a consistent period of time, and you're going to see some incredible results. But I have to give credit where credit is due, and I love this quote. It's accredited to many people. Some would argue Isaac Newton, but I have seen further. It is because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And I got to share with you, I've had the good fortune. I've been in the business now almost 30 years. And I've had the good fortune of belonging to a mastermind group of the top realtor and mortgage broker business owners and independents across North America. It's been over 15 years now. And the advantage I've had is I've gotten to network with people that have gotten real results and have done some incredible things. And I'm talking about people that are generating $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in commissions in our business, and regardless of the market. So we're talking real stuff. But don't let that freak you out. If you just want to get to, I just want to earn a good living and earn a couple $100,000 a year, these systems will also work for you. Whether you're a newbie or whether you're experienced, these will work. Now, let's talk about what's going on in the business today. And, obviously we all know there's more competition than ever. I think we're approaching 38,000 realtors in the GTA at last count. We're being hurt. Our commission rates are dropping because of the competition. At the same time, the Competition Bureau is fighting our right to controlling the MLS, and the media is constantly negative about the market. And we all know if it bleeds, it leads, as they say. So they're not going to be excited about positive news. They're always going to try to figure out what's the negative angle. How can we sell more papers? How can we get more eyeballs on our website? So that's what's going on today. Commissions are dropping. These are real numbers. I remember in the old days in the 80s, the commission rates were 6%, 7%. We don't see those anymore. We're now seeing less than 1.5% per end. We are being impacted. Although prices are up, commissions are lower. And the old systems, folks, they just don't work anymore. They don't work as well anymore. And I have people argue with me all the time. Hey, you know what? Cold calling works for me, and door knocking works for me. And I love FSBOs and expiries. And I can't argue. Do they work? Of course they work. But banging your head against the wall to get through the brick wall, there might be a more efficient way to get business, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Now, on the other side, we're also, we're also using not just antiquated systems, we're also doing everything on our own. And I think this is probably the biggest mistake most of us make, is that we try to do everything on our own, from sales to IT to mailroom and taxi and printing and courier services. And we do everything. And at the end of the day, we need to approach our market, our business, and our problem with a different mindset. And my good buddy Albert said about something else that I think is relevant to our industry. The significant problems we face today cannot be solved at the same level of thinking as when we created them. The systems that we use in our real estate business today, a lot of the standard, what I would call standard systems, were created in the 60s and 70s, folks. And there's a new thing. I want you to write this down. It's called the Internet. It's really changed things, and it's changed access to information. It's changed our role as a realtor. Now, when we looked at, I told you about the Mastermind group that I was a part of. When we analyzed and looked at some of the most successful agents, we found a pattern. And here's what we found. Anybody who was having any success in their business, whether it was real estate or mortgage, and this is probably relevant to almost any industry, but let's talk about our business. Number one, they followed proven systems. Now, sometimes they were lucky at the first go, but in most cases they had to try and test and modify. They had lead generation systems that worked day and night, whether they were working at it or not. And we'll talk about how that works. They used systems and processes for interviewing clients, for providing incredible customer service and generating that wow factor. And they use database systems. Now, statistically, this is my guess just based on the thousands of people that I've had in the seminars over the years. I would guess 90% of realtors in our business are not using a proper CRM database system. Of course, I'm talking about something like Top Producer or Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics. Your iPhone is not a CRM system. Your website is probably not a CRM system, and then so on and so on. And it's also about having the right attitude. Now, the word Kaizen, and the Kaizen attitude is one of constant and never-ending improvement. And one of the things we've got to be careful of, we cannot get bogged down in details and go into what's been called paralysis by analysis. You have to focus on progress, not perfection. Get something rolling, and make improvements as you go along. Now, what's possible is just more fun. Business with better quality of clients, more repeat and referrals, and it's a business worth owning. And this is important for me: a life, time to enjoy the fruits of our labor. I'm a firm believer that if I'm going to show up at work, I might as well make bags of money if I'm going to be here. But at the end of the day, I don't want to work 16 hours a day to make more money. I still want to make sure that I have time to enjoy my life and my family, and I'm healthy, and I get to eat, and I get to work out, and I get to vacation and do all the normal things that normal people do. Because I think a lot of us got into this business to have more freedom, and now what we have is a ball and chain around us, and that's called our business. So let's look at focusing on how do we make more money, but how do we also do it in a structured and balanced way. And I couldn't have said it better myself. Richard Branson, great book if you haven't got it. Screw it, let's do it. And this quote is brilliant. It really resonates for me. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. And I got to tell you, it takes money to enjoy your life. It takes money to take quality vacations, but it first requires work. Again, if you're afraid of hard work and you're not willing to work, turn off the video, go back to whatever it is you're doing. But if you're willing to be coachable and you're willing to put in the work, and if you can just copy, then this system will work for you. Now, one of the first things we talk about is looking at stabilizing a schedule. And I think accountability is an issue for most agents. Now, think about this. Go into almost any real estate office at 9 o'clock in the morning, and there's nobody there. Now, one would argue that, they're out there working with clients, but you and I both know most of them are still at home watching Oprah. Now, we're not talking about working day and night and working like a dog. We're actually saying the opposite. But what we are saying is that you have to have a structured schedule. And here's one way of breaking it down. Breaking it down into what I call results, remodel, and recovery. So what's results? Well, results time is the time you spent with clients doing appointments and contracts and doing offers and all of the meetings face-to-face. You have to do the business. And when you're not doing the business, you have to also take some time off from your business to work on your business, what we call remodel time. getting the systems in place, understanding how the CRM works, getting coached, getting education, if you have a team, working with your team, and lastly, and just as important, you've got to have scheduled recovery time. That's personal time, exercise, lunch, breakfast, family time, vacation time, all of that stuff. And I don't care how you schedule it, but what we found is anybody successful has a structured schedule. For example, remodel time, Fridays for me are remodel time. I do not schedule client appointments on Friday. I do not schedule them on Sunday, because Fridays for me are basically remodel. I look at the systems in my business, and Sundays are my day off. Now, does that mean that I have clients, if I have clients that want to look at a property on Sunday, they don't see property? Absolutely, but you know what? You can partner with somebody in your office. You can work with a buyer agent. There's a lot of systems that you can implement to get that done, but you've got to have a structure, and you've got to have time for all three: scheduled results, scheduled remodel, and scheduled recovery time. Now, let's take a different perspective for a second. Let's look at the real estate business cycle. Whether you realize it or not, and I think this is probably relevant to almost any business, but there's really 4 stages. Number 1 is finding quality leads. That's probably the biggest challenge for a lot of realtors out there. Stage 2, obviously, is the client interview process, and what I mean by that is it's a systematized process. It's not just winging it. It's not meeting people with a pad and paper and writing down some information. No, it's actually having a process, and we'll dive into that. And then once you have a client, you've generated a lead, you've met with them, you've convinced them, or they're ready to work with you, you want to work with them. Now, how do we serve our clients in a way that has them generate a wow, and of course leading to more repeat and referral business? And repeat and referral business will generate more leads, will help us find more quality leads. And we all know that the best leads that we can ever get are past clients, friends that we already know, or people that were introduced to us, those beautiful referrals. The come list me call, or I've seen an open house, we really love the house, and you were referred to us by our friend Mary, can you please come and do the offer? We've all been fortunate enough to get those calls once in a while. They're beautiful. So one of the keys is how do we get those more and more? Now, when I look at this cycle, I want you to imagine it's a wheel, because what's interesting is this: once you get some momentum, you get a few clients, you do a good job, you get more referrals, that gets you more clients, etc., and this starts to pick up speed. And this is where the business gets exciting and it gets fun. Now, I think we can all agree that $250,000 a year would be a good number. It would be a good, for some people, a starting point. Now, if you're already making $250,000, double it and imagine it's $500,000. If you're just new in the business, or if you've only been in a couple of years in the business and you're making less than $100,000, I think $250,000 would be a good target. Now, for some people, when I start talking about earning $250,000 a year or $500,000 a year, they put up a mental block. They put up a brick wall right in front of them, and they say to themselves, they don't say it out loud, but internally they say, you know what, it's not really believable or possible or plausible. Well, I can tell you, I know many, many, many agents that do $250,000 a year and more, and some that do twice and 5 and 10 times that. But let's talk about $250,000. And we've all heard the old question, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. One bite at a time works in this. Now, let's take $250,000 a year and let's think backwards. So if the average deal is $10,000, we need about 25 deals. Now, we were talking about the Greater Toronto Area. Average prices hovering around $500,000. Commission around 2% on a buyer end, let's say, still gives us in that range. 25 deals requires 50 customers, because 50 customers mean you may get 50 qualified buyers or sellers, but not everybody buys at the end of the day, and not all our listings sells. So we need twice as many customers to get that number of deals. Now, to get 50 customers, probably need 100 appointments. To convert half of them, to get 100 appointments, we probably need about 200 qualified leads. Now, if we're only if we're only requiring 200 qualified leads in a year, then let's say that breaks down to 5 leads a week, assuming there's 40 weeks, and that means you need 1 lead a day. So obviously, it's a lot easier to think about how do I get 1 lead a day versus how do I get $250,000 in commissions. So the focus is on how do you get 1 good qualified lead a day if you want to get this target. So this question comes up again. Well, okay, I get it. I need to get 1 lead a day, but I don't know where to get 1 lead a day. What do I do? I mean, I see agents doing flyers and I see ads and I see garbage cans and fridge magnets, where can I find leads? It's one of the most powerful and important questions. And here's the brutal reality about today's marketplace. Traditional advertising doesn't work anymore. All the traditional stuff. We're competing with 37,000 agents. We're competing with millions of other businesses. And a lot of this stuff, think about what you get in your mailbox. It's what I call interruption marketing. You have to get people's attention and hope that they're looking for real estate services and hope that your ad gets attention. And, let's look at some of the real estate industry advertising. Unfortunately, most of us are not marketing geniuses, and this is the kind of garbage that people are using. And you know what? Not to poke fun at people, but really to say, these people are really trying. They're going out, the dynamic duo. This is a real business card that we saw in the U.S. So this is what this couple gives out, or the secret agents. Well, they are secret agents because nobody's calling them. And, they're trying hard, but this kind of stuff simply doesn't work. What about right here in downtown Toronto, we have the Condo Man. And, I'm sure he's a great agent. He's got great biceps. But really, I'm wondering aloud, and I'm fairly certain this kind of stuff doesn't work. And, what about the loan arranger? This is a mortgage broker, and this guy shows up to networking opportunities with, a horse, a little toy horse and his hat. And, it's when you look at any other professional industry, they don't do this kind of garbage. Because here's the real question. And I get this all the time. How can I get my name out there? If I do flyers in my neighborhood, if I do an ad in this print magazine or that newspaper, or what about website? How do I get my name out there? The real question should be, and this is as quoted by Dan Kennedy, one of the outright geniuses of direct marketing. If you haven't picked up any of his books, do so. This is just one of the examples. He's written a whole series called No BS Marketing. The real question should be, why should I do business with you above all other options, including doing nothing or whatever I'm doing now? And that's really, so, here's what we have to step back and remember. What do we know about consumers? Now, I'm talking about people that don't already know us. Your friends, your family, your past clients, they know you, they like you, they probably trust you. Everybody else, you're a stranger. And to strangers, they're afraid. They don't want to be locked into the wrong decision. They don't want to pick the wrong agent. They don't want to overpay. They don't want to sign a contract. We've all heard, I don't want to sign anything, because they're afraid of making the wrong decision. And they're good people that are just watching out for themselves. And, very interesting survey. I think it's very telling. Who do consumers trust? Well, 37% would trust their financial planner to give them real estate advice. 17% would trust, first of all, friends, family, and neighbors. We're down at 14%. So they would go to 86% of the population before they'd come to us, because they see us as the salesperson, almost the car sales guy. We're not high on the list of being trustworthy. So let's talk about, where should we focus? I'm always talking about warm versus cold. And what do I mean by that? Well, warm clients are those people that are already warm to you. They know you, past clients, friends, people that you meet, networking opportunities, potential business partners. And what I call cold leads are people that don't know you. You find them online, in print, farm, open house, what have you. But here's what we know about warm versus cold. If you're talking about cold leads, because they don't know you, like you, and trust you, it's hard to get better than a 1% success ratio. We've probably all heard the number. You got to get a hold of 100 people to get one good one. Whereas with the warm market, we're experiencing a 50% success ratio. So let me ask you, where would you rather focus your time and energy? Would you rather focus on 50% leads or 1% leads? And I think the answer is obvious. And I always tell the story about my client, Linda. Now, Linda was actually a cold lead by happenstance, but she called me a long time ago, and it was on a condo ad. She was looking at a condo downtown, and the question that she asked was, she asked a few questions about the condo, and then she opened up a little bit. She said, "Listen, I'm being transferred out of the country, and I'm wondering, should I buy now or should I buy later?" And I think a lot of salespeople would probably say, buy now, buy two. The market's going up. It's going to cost you money. That's probably what somebody like Linda would expect. Well, the advice I gave her was, look, if you buy now, here's the advantages. We could put a tenant in there. You could rent it out. You could capitalize on the market. If you buy later, the market's projected to go up about 5%, so it's going to cost you maybe an additional $20,000 if you wait. It's really up to you which one you're more comfortable with. So she said, that's good advice. She slept on it. She called me the next day. She said, look, I really appreciate your advice. I like how you were frank and honest. You gave me the two options. I've decided I'm going to buy, and we're going to put a tenant in there, and we'll see when I get back, and I'll move in when I get back. A year later, she moves back. She buys another condo. She refers me a few friends. She refers me a few others. She calls me a couple of years later to sell the two condos and move into a big house. She met the husband, got married, had kids, lives in a big, beautiful house, and guess what? Refers me other people that want to buy big, beautiful houses. So, as an example, the value of somebody like her, which is a raving fan. A raving fan is someone who refers you at least one person a year. It's someone that likes you, trusts you, and you're the go-to person. The value of this raving fan is huge. And you've got to have the attitude that every potential person in your database, every potential person you meet, everyone you know has the potential to be that raving fan. So, in essence, one of the keys to success in this business is building your network. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about, a permission-based conversation. And let me take it back a step so you can focus. We're talking about a permission-based database. Not just, I'm not saying you could buy the phone book and start mailing to them. I'm talking about building a network of people that know you and have said, you know what, it's okay for you to stay in touch. And when I'm ready for real estate, I'd like to talk to you. And I'm also comfortable, introducing you to others. So, what if your job, instead of looking for deals, is to build a network? And just like the Parthenon, which has been there for thousands of years, because it has multiple pillars, your network should be based on multiple pillars, many, many people in your database. So what if you could just talk to 2 people a day by starting with your warm market and do that only 5 days a week, take the weekend off, only work half the year, 25 weeks a year. So that gives us 10 a week. 25 weeks is 250 people. Now, we know from experience that if you build a quality database and stay in touch with them on a consistent basis, and I'm going to show you how you do that in a second, you're going to get what we call a 10% ROI, or return on investment. Well, what does that mean? Well, 250 people are going to either buy or refer you to others to generate 25 transactions. And if we're generating 25 transactions at $10,000 gross per annum on average, well, we're now talking about $250,000 annual income. And the beautiful thing about this, guys, is that once you build your network, as long as you cultivate and stay in touch and maintain contact, this happens year after year, and it only grows. Because even if you do this for just 1 year, you've got 250 in your database, right? Well, you've generated 25 people. Well, year 2, you'll have 275. Year 3, you'll have 230 and change, right? 300 and change. Well, what happens if you do 250 a year? Well, year 1, you'll have 250. Year 2, you'll have 500. And 250 goes up to 500, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get it. But here's another way to look at it. You're finding 2 people a day. Which generates the $2,000 a day. So you're literally, the way I look at it is, you're getting paid $1,000 for each qualified contact you put in your database. So the question then is, if you could do 2 people a day, if you knew you're going to generate 1,000 per name, statistically, how many would you want to put in your database? And the answer is, well, as many as I could. So skip ahead for a second here. What is branding? Now, most of us recognize this logo. And, of course, it's the result of billions of dollars and decades of exposure to it. Now, unless you have the billions of dollars that Mercedes-Benz has, you cannot build an institutional brand like this. And in our world of competition, we have to take a different approach. We have to look at, how do we differentiate ourselves in our marketplace of over 30,000 people in our market? And how do we do that? Well, one way is to brand yourself as an expert. We've got many different ideas and approaches, proven systems on how to do that, but one of the most effective ones has been, by far, a book. And this is one of the examples of the books that we've created. And I got this idea from somebody 20 years ago who had started out with a small little booklet. So we started out with a small little booklet, and the booklet turned into a 120-page book that is printed in hard copy and printed in paperback. And it looks like any other book you'd find in Chapters or on Amazon. And it really has, it really brands you as the expert. Now imagine a paperback book with your contact information on the back cover, and this is what you give out as your business card, or this is what you give out as your pre-appointment package. We've also created, a condo version. We have other versions for investing. We have others for understanding the RSP game and so on and so forth. But I guarantee when you present your book on real estate, you're branding yourself as an expert. And don't worry, we've created a way for you to actually get this done for you, and we'll tell you more about that. What about social media? Well, social media, I think, makes our life so much easier because it allows us to connect with many people in a digital way, but a lot of agents make the mistake of just promoting their listings and always talking real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. And that's not the place. When we're talking about Twitter, when we're talking about Facebook, it's not the space for marketing yourself and promoting yourself, as it were. It's kind of like, it's as inappropriate, I think, as giving out a business card at a funeral. That's not the time and place. But it is a great way to connect and stay in touch and monitor and see what's going on in people's lives, and then using that as a tool to connect with them one-on-one, either by email, phone call, face-to-face, etc. But now let's go back to the real estate business cycle. We've talked about finding leads. Now we need to understand the client interview process. And the client interview process, folks, has to be a process. It has to be a proven system and a structure. And one of the tools that we use consistently is when we first meet with a client, and really this starts with over-the-phone conversation, we use a check-listed list of questions where we capture all the information. We make a note of the date, how do we get the client, the contact information. There's checklisted questions. I know you can't see this on the video, but you just have to trust me, they're there. And it's actually a 5-page checklist that makes sure we do everything we need to. Well, once we make a contact and we've confirmed an appointment, we send by courier a pre-appointment package, which would include maybe a handwritten note, a business card, and of course a copy of the book if you had one, or any other materials that you would send out. And again, this is the first opportunity to generate a bit of a wow. We send the package by courier, overnight or same day, wherever possible, and you can get this done for $5 now overnight in most areas of the city. And then lastly, when we meet with the client, we use a PowerPoint interview presentation that you can use on your iPad, you can use on a laptop. If there's a power outage, you can have it printed out and do it on paper, but obviously use technology as much as possible. And I'll share with you one thing. We're using this system, and we've been doing it for many, many years now, and we've been experiencing a 90% conversion to buyer agency. What does that mean? 90% of the people that we meet with, when we follow this process, proper interview on the phone, a pre-appointment package goes out by courier, and we interview them using this PowerPoint presentation, over 90% are signing buyer agency with us on the spot, and happy to do so because we're demonstrating value, we're demonstrating we're professional, and we're generating that wow factor. And I'll tell you, in many cases, we're getting referrals right here, even at this stage, well before people have even bought, because they've already experienced better service than they've had before. And when we talk about the client interview process, it is systematized. It's designed to be in such a way that the client feels like there's no pressure, they're getting educated, and we're controlling the process. Our job is to educate and select the clients that are qualified versus convincing others to work with us. And there's stuff that needs to be done before, during, and after the appointment. How do we, not just find the client, not just sign them up, but provide wow service, do an excellent job, generate that wow, put them in the database, and generate excited clients that are happy to introduce us to others. And this, in and of itself, is invaluable. If you can just learn this aspect to it, this is what's I believe is really missing in our business. We go get our licenses, we go to AREA, we go take phase 1, 2, 3, and nowhere in these courses do they teach us how to find clients, how to serve clients, how to wow them, and how to make more business and make our life easier, and really generate a win-win for everybody. At the end of the day, this is the basis of everything. It's really exceeding expectations and generating that wow and seeing that look on people's faces. Because you got to understand, what are the touch points that give us an opportunity to wow clients? It's the initial phone call, it's the first meeting, it's property showings, offer negotiation. Every single conversation, every single meeting is an opportunity to generate a wow. And we'll talk about a lot of these systems at the upcoming conference. Now, very important, there are different types of clients rather out there. And I categorize them, and there's many ways to categorize clients, but For me, I'm only looking for great clients. What's a great client to me? Well, to me, a great client is somebody who's motivated to take action. They're financially qualified. They like me. I like them. And you know what? They're comfortable referring others. So that's what I'm always looking for. If they're not a great client, I really don't want to work with them. Category number 2, fun but hopeless. Now, I don't know if any of you are working with anybody in this category. Often they're friends and family, but somebody who's, they're good people, but they can't make a decision, or their credit is bad, or they don't have the down payment, it's taken them a while, or they can't make a decision. And the last category, the ones that don't trust anybody. They don't want to sign anything. They don't want to commit to anything. They don't trust you. They want the demographics and the sales history for the last 10 years in the neighborhood, and they're going to analyze this for the next 3 years. We're not in this business to be psychologists. So in my world, I focus on one thing, and that is I'm going to sort through the clients and choose to work with the great clients, and I'm not going to try to convince anybody because it doesn't work anyways. So I'm looking for great clients, and if they're not great clients, if they're not happy working with me and I'm not happy working with them, I'm going to move on. So let's continue our discussion about the real estate business cycle. We're almost at the end. So let's recap. We've discussed how to find quality leads. Obviously, the warm market is the path of least resistance, and I think that's where everybody should start, even if they've been in the business for a while. We have a systematized client interview process. We're providing world-class service, and we're generating more repeat and referral business. And obviously, that's a wonderful thing to have. But how do we get more repeat and referral clients? Well, we really have to think long-term. It starts from the beginning, and we have to, let me repeat, have to, not should, not maybe, have to use the CRM software to track this stuff because it's impossible otherwise. That's like saying I'm going to do this without a computer or I'm going to do this without a laptop. It's impossible. You have to be able to organize your clients in a way that, reminder calls are spit out for you and mailers are done effectively. You have to be referable also. What does that mean? Well, you have to say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say. Show up on time, call people back. I've been guilty in the past of, forgetting to call a client back because I'm so busy with all the other stuff on my desk, I forget to call a client back, and a day goes by, and I've probably lost referrals that way. And I think most of us are guilty of that at some point. We have to, in an organized way, stay in touch. Do an annual review. We do an annual checkup with our clients once a year. Here's your new market valuation. Here's your mortgage balance. Here's your new equity position. People love that. We stay in touch with a blog. We do monthly emails. We do a regular quarterly phone call. How many of us have been guilty of, not staying in touch for several years with a client and then seeing a listing on MLS and it's your client and it's not your listing? There's a process and a system for rewards and gifts. Anytime somebody sends as a referral, we reward people. And now there's a difference between dangling carrots, offering cash, that kind of stuff that really doesn't work, and it's also kind of negative, and rewarding people that actually do take the initiative. And of course, annual events with clients, charity events, whatever you can organize to stay in touch, just to make our job easier. So, we're coming near the end of this video presentation. In summary, I want to recap. We've discussed, some of the best places to find quality leads. We've talked about, scheduling time to create systems that would help you with your business. We've talked about, the importance of focusing on building your database. And we've reminded you, you have to work and you have to be coachable. The good news is you put in the work now in a systematized way. You put in a little work every day, and over time it just gets easier and easier and easier. And lastly, I want to thank my friend Anthony Robbins for the ultimate success formula. I can't claim credit for this. And, it's 3 simple points. Number 1, know exactly what you want. What is it you want in your business? How many hours a week do you want to work? Do you want to work less? Or do you want to work 30 hours a week? Do you want to make more money, or do you want to make $250? You have to be laser specific and know exactly what you want and have a plan of action to do it. You need to follow a proven system. You can't just go out there and just hack away through the jungle. There's a path. Somebody else has already made the path for you, and all you got to do is follow. And then you have to take immediate action. The law of diminishing intent says the longer you wait about a decision, to make a decision, the less likely you're going to make it. You're likely going to forget about it. And most of us have gone to a seminar, read a book, or listened to an audio or CD and said, some fantastic ideas. I'm going to do it, and then forget about it, and then a year later you find it in a drawer. Well, I don't want this to be one of those times. If what we've talked about today has resonated for you, and I got to believe that it has, then we want you to find out how you can follow a proven system. And here's the immediate action that we want you to take. We want you to come to the Mastermind Real Estate Conference. It's, again, Donalda Country Club on Friday, October 5th. It's an all-day event, 9 to 5. We don't leave. We're going to have a fantastic lunch served there. The regular price for our all-day events is $8.95 or more, but we really want you there. You can reserve a seat for $198. It's a ridiculously low sum. We wanted it to be stupid, simple for you to attend and really see what we're up to in the Mastermind. Now, if you're catching this online or you don't have the email link, just go to recseminars.com to register. If you're on the page right now, you can click on the registration tab to your right anytime you like and reserve your seat. Now, let me tell you a few things about the upcoming conference. Here's our agenda. We're going to be starting bright and early. Coffee and registration will be at 8:30. All the materials will be handed out. Lots of parking there, by the way, free parking. 9 a.m., begin with the end in mind, and which is really, you know, asking everyone to lay out on a very simple structure, where do you want your business to be next year, and what does it look like? We're going to talk about lead generation systems, what everybody wants to talk about first off. That'll take up the good part of the morning. 12 o'clock, we're going to have a fantastic lunch served there at Donalda. If weather permitting, we may even be outside, but we won't hold our breath. It's Toronto weather in October. And 1 o'clock, we come back after lunch, and we're going to dive into the client interview systems. And we're going to show you exactly, we're going to do a role play of the actual client interview system that we'll use with a buyer, for example. And we'll talk about some of the systems and techniques we use for world-class service updates and processes. And lastly, we'll talk about tech and support systems, all the things that we need in our business. Our objective, really simply, is to show you how to structure really the ultimate real estate practice and how to build it over time. It does take a little time, but you'll thank us in the end. Special bonus for everybody, we're going to give everyone a free copy of the buyer interview system. So everything we talked about, you'll have a lifetime license to use this. And, you know, we're talking about the interview checklist document, the PowerPoint file, the scripts, all of that stuff that we're going to share with you that day. Free copies of all of that stuff, and you can use it for the rest of your life. And we really want you to get results. So what we're going to do is we're going to send you the buyer interview PowerPoint file as soon as you register, even if it's in advance of the conference, because I want you to use this right away and get some results with it. So again, you'll get a link to that. You'll download it. You'll have it on your computer within 24 hours of registering for the conference. We're also going to give you free access for 1 year to the Mastermind conference calls that we're going to do. We do regular conference calls with our Mastermind members, talking about lead generation, websites, time management, all the interview scripts, and much, 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 much more. Now, just that alone is a $48 a month value, or $576 a year. We're going to give you that membership for free. And again, you'll be able to dial into the Mastermind conference calls as soon as you register. And I believe we have one more scheduled before the conference in October. So you'll be able to dial in and get that information, and that's included. We're also going to give you a 100% money-back guarantee. Now, how do I know? How can I do that? Well, I know that if you sit there all day, you're going to get value. But if you sit there all day, come, sit down, show up at 9 a.m., do all the work, enjoy the lunch, take all the notes, and if at the end of the day you did not have value, simply return the materials, and we'll give you all of your money back, no questions asked. We don't want your money. We want you to look at what we're doing with the Mastermind group, and we're so confident we can offer this guarantee. And here it is at the end of the day. If you've gotten some value today, I want you to take action. I want you to reserve your seat right now. Just go to recseminars.com if you're not already in the website. Reserve your seat. Hopefully there's a seat left for you. And if you know somebody in your office, most of us have friends in the business that are also in the same boat, that maybe aren't getting the results they know they deserve, would love to be there. Tell a friend. Do them a favor. They'll thank you, and so will we. And that's the end of today's Mastermind seminar. I really want to see you at that conference in October, and have a great day, have a great life, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for listening in. This is Simon Giannini with the Mastermind Seminar Series.